What is up, you guys, and welcome back to our Patreon. This will be the very first update video that I think I've ever done on this platform. Today is going to be not only an update, but an explanation describing a little bit about what's going to be going on in the future of this platform and what my plans on doing with it are. As many of you know, or many of you don't know, I realized that commenting on a post that I'd posted maybe a week or so or even a while ago, nobody gets the notification, I don't believe. I think that it's just a matter of you guys only get notifications for when I put out new content or so on and so forth. As you can tell, this is not going to be an ASMR video, and as you may tell, my mouth is very dry. I shouldn't even be drinking coffee, and the reason that the camera's like facing this way rather than usually I have like my breasts and below showing, not my actual breasts, but you get it. I have a different way of having the camera set is because this Tuesday, which I explained a little bit, I had surgery. It was my choice. I had tumescent liposculpture and liposuction on my abdomen and my stomach. Many of you, I don't know about many, I got 3 comments and then they all just unsubscribed, which that's completely your choice. I'm very grateful. I will always be grateful for you guys supporting me. You know what? I'm going to have a drink of water. Many of you who don't know, or many of you who do know, I started this Patreon. There's lipstick on my chest from scratching and wiping and blah, blah, blah. I started this Patreon as a project. Well, the first thing I started it as was a means of support. Back in, I think it was October of last year. No. Maybe a little bit before, there was a YouTube issue. YouTube like demonetized a ton of people's content, including mine. It was 2014 or 2015 early that I finally got eligible for monetization on YouTube. I never knew that you could make money from YouTube. I started ASMR with no thought of having an income in my mind. My husband was working 12 hours a day. It was before my kids were taken that I kind of started doing ASMR. It was right beforehand. I tried it out, then I stopped when my kids were taken back when. I had nothing to do with my days. I didn't have a job. I had no friends. It was a very bad time in my life, so YouTube basically became my home, and it still is my home and always will be my home. Eventually, I realized after a certain amount of subs and views, you can be eligible for monetization and make money. My husband was not giving me money. My husband was not providing me with anything other than maybe cigarettes and the food that he would bring home. We were very low income. When our kids were at home, we were on welfare. When the whole situation happened, when I lost my kids, my husband moved out. I was left with nothing, absolutely nothing. My kids were gone. He took the food stamps back when we were on welfare. Like, it was a very trashy, horrible, disgusting time. For those of you who never followed my story and are hearing this for the first time, there is a way deeper story for this that I speak about often on my channel, on my YouTube channel. The long story short is I changed my entire life around in a period of 2 years. I completely changed who I was as a person, who I was as a mother. The mother I never knew I could be, I ended up becoming, and to this day I have custody of both of my children. We moved far away from the area that we were staying in, and YouTube essentially saved my life, as well as one person who counseled me through it. It's a very long story. I am not that person anymore, but the point I'm trying to make in going into this is eventually I was eligible for monetization on YouTube. I'm not allowed to talk about how much I make on YouTube, and Social Blade is shit. Like, you can go on there and they'll give a rough estimate of how much somebody makes a month on each of their videos. And the length of, like, income that it's, like, it'll say, like, this person makes, like, $1,000 a month up to $300,000. Like, that's how wide and, I can't think of the word. Like, it's just like, really, like, it kind of doesn't make sense. It's such a wide variety or whatever unclear. So anyway, we're not allowed to talk about, like, no YouTuber is allowed to ever talk about how much money they make on YouTube. Now, excuse me, the first 6 months after I was monetized, I was making maybe, and I will talk about this, but maybe like $100 every couple months. In order to get paid on YouTube, you have to meet every single month a $100 threshold. I'm not sure if that's changed because my income is pretty well over that at this point, a month. And I'm very grateful for that. But back in October, you have to meet that, and I wasn't meeting that. Again, nobody really knew about my ASMR channel. I was just starting out. And then one day, later 2016, like, my channel blew up. And usually when I'm speaking to those directly on YouTube, I'll talk like it's our channel, because it is our channel. So if you're from our family, I'm just speaking in terms of myself right now and everything like that. So don't take that the wrong way. Anyway, moving on. I always talk with my hands whenever I'm like nervous, and I'm nervous because my mouth is dry and it's making my retainer go, and I'm always talking off topic and fucking, I don't know why you guys support me. Like, I'm so sorry for who I am. No, but anyway, so my channel blew up randomly in 2016. I think one of my videos went on trending. It was an ASMR sleep clinic trigger test or something. I was in my bathroom when we lived in this shitty apartment in this horrible part of town at the time, and I love that video to this day. I put everything I had into that video, I remember, and I remember seeing that it went on trending, and I think YouTube just came out with trending back when, I'm not sure. And I was like, what does that mean? It's on trending. Like, I didn't know much about it. I was just doing YouTube at the time. It still wasn't for the money. Like, I was so grateful. I was like, oh my God, like, people are noticing who I am. Like, this is awesome. When the channel blew up, I started eventually meeting the $100 threshold a month, and it got to the point after late 2016, my husband lost his job, and he got on, not Social Security, but unemployment, and that's still how we were making our money. But then I'd get paid every 1 or 2 months. Now this time I was finally getting paid each month, maybe like $300, $400. I think the most I made was when we moved out of that area, which was Mine 37, and it was a amount of like $700, and that was for a month for 2 people. You know, we were still getting food stamps, and we were on medical and things like that, welfare, and he was on unemployment. It was all legal at the time. That's actually a lot of money. You have to reach the threshold, I believe, for welfare assistance of maybe, I think it's like $2,000 a month for a family of 2, so it wasn't anything illegal. But eventually I started making more than that, and we lost all of that, which is a good thing. My husband never had to return to work. He ended up staying home and taking care of the kids, and I made YouTube my full-time job, which, again, to this day, I'm internally grateful for. Like, this is my life, and this is what I do, and this is what makes me happy. But anyway, in October of 2017, or right before that, a little bit after that maybe, YouTube went through like a dry spell or something where they started demonetizing everybody's videos. I think 21 videos of mine were demonetized, and they were the videos that were the ones that went viral. So the videos with the most views are obviously the more, they're more likely to get monetized, if that makes sense, or they're more likely to have ads clicked. That's how people make their money on YouTube. An ad plays before a video, and if you click it, it generates a very small revenue of like a couple cents and everything like that. Obviously, you know, we had to pay rent, everything. We weren't getting food stamps anymore, and the kids were just returned in June, or well, they were returned by the state in January of 2017, and then they were fully returned, like nobody was involved at that point, in June of 2017. So where CYS was no longer involved, nobody was involved. Now, with that being said, you know, we had the whole family. My husband wasn't working. I was making all the income, and I didn't have a Patreon. I didn't have any other income. I wasn't doing sponsorships. I wasn't doing anything. I think I had one sponsorship, and I thought a sponsorship back then meant to be paid, or not be paid. They just send you products and you're like sponsoring. That's not how it works. Like, you have to be paid to be a sponsor, and I still messed that up. Not anymore. Oh my God, my mother's dog. Anyway, stop. So yeah, that pissed me off. Excuse me, because like she randomly barks. It doesn't piss me off, but you get it. long story short, to make a long fucking story short, whenever that dry spell happened, I heard about Patreon. So I was like, I'm not making a GoFundMe. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm going to make a Patreon, and I'm just going to put it on here for now to ask if people want to support me for maybe $1 a month. I'll work harder on content. I'll listen to what they have to say. So I created the Patreon, and a lot of you had subscribed to me and have been supporting me ever since for $1 a month. I promised that no matter whatever happened to it, I would never create a tier. I just created a goal, I think, of $2,222, because you have to create a goal when you start the Patreon, just one to start out with. It took, I think, 4 to 6 months after to finally reach that goal, to where I reached the goal of 2222 a month. Now, let me just remind you, for those who think that just because I have 6,000 Patreons that I get $6,000 a month, you are very, very mistaken. The taxes that the government takes out of self-employed people is just unrealistic. It's very sad. Now, Patreon says they don't take taxes out, but they take out a fee, and it is at least 20% of that. So they take out, maybe, let's say with 6,000, they'll take out like 2,000. And then with that, they'll take out other fees and everything like that. So I do make, a good amount out of the Patreon, but at the same time, a lot of that's being taken. And I also want to point out that when people said with the plastic surgery, my breasts were a whole different story, but the liposuction, they said that I took the Patreon money and went and bought lipo. Let me tell you a little something called Care Credit. You can use it at the vet's office, and since I bought a car, I put down on a car, I have car payments every month. Equifax is part of the credit system. I had no credit when I started, and I went to a place called what's it called? Oh my god, Signature Auto Drive in Altoona, PA, and I got my car there. I put down on a 2014 Chevy Cruze, and the interest was 100%, so just double how much a Chevy Cruze is. That's how they always say yes to you if you don't have credit. They'll be like, oh, well, you can have this car, but the interest I'm in a contract for, I think, for like 10 years to pay off this car. With all the interest, and I could probably pay it off with my payments now in like 3 years, but no, we're real far out. So I had payments. I built up my credit with Equifax. It's on creditscore.com or whatever. And eventually I built my credit up to in the needs work, which is enough to get a loan. Care Credit is like getting a loan for medical work. You can, it's so weird. Look it up. It's like you can use it for veterinary visits for your animals. You can use it for, dental bills, anything, but it has like such random things. Like you can use it for like household items. There's like specific, it's like a credit card. And that's how I got my lipo. I make $150 payments a month on it. It doesn't matter. I have 2 kids. I have this, I have that. So yeah, with that being said, anyway, that's just my backstory about everything. Money from here and money from my income. We don't have any government assistance anymore. And I am the sole income in the house. Like I am the alpha, what do you call it? The breadwinner, the alpha. Yeah, right. I'm not any alpha. I'm a submissive. But anyway, that's pretty much the income, we have to spend on 4 people, groceries twice a month. There's groceries, there's gas, there's electric, there's water, there's sewage, there's garbage. There's my car payment. There's my Verizon payment. There's my, car payment, which is like ridiculous. Now there's my Care Credit payment. Now there's, did I say electric? Let's see. I just paid the taxes from the borough, and I had back taxes from 2014 up until 2017 that they were slowly garnishing off of my checks from YouTube, which is hilarious because I didn't even know I owed any taxes until last year. Everything. So it was just very interesting. It's just a lot of people always say like, oh, you have such nice stuff, or you do this and that. And it's like, yeah, every, once a month I'll treat myself. But and the breasts, I never paid for those. But the liposuction, I will be paying for that for a very long time and everything like that. I chose to make that choice for my body because I was very unhappy with it. I feel like in the future I can make better content on here at least, and I'm going to get back into that. That's why I said and talked about going in different directions of this channel or this video and everything like that. So just bear with me here. So anyway, there was a video I made where I, showered and showed my breasts, and you guys reacted very well to it. You seemed to like it. You guys like the sound of the water. So let me move on to talk about where the story with Patreon went. Eventually, you guys were supporting me, and I was like, you know what, like, I want to start doing a little bit more on Patreon. My inspiration for that was My Cherry Crush, and she is an adult star, a self-proclaimed one. She's not, I don't think she's sponsored by anyone, like usually people like Bang Brothers will have like Maddie O'Reilly. I think that's her sponsor, like that is who she works for, isn't in a contract with. My Cherry Crush, I don't know her real name, but I know that she literally has done it all herself. She has built her own little empire all by herself, and I was like, I fucking love this. I'm the type of person who loves validation. I'm very open and honest about that. I love when people say, you have hot tits, or like you have this and you have that. That's why I went out and bought some tits, or had tits bought for me by my dominant, which I have not seen for at least a month and a half, but we keep in contact almost every day. Actually, if you're watching this, because he subscribes to my Patreon. But anyway, actually I did put down a little bit on the tits for the down payment, and then he paid the rest of it, because the way that you do it with plastic surgery, you have to go in. There's the consult, which is $80 for anything at my plastic surgeon's office. And then you have to put 10% down. That's all I had to put down for the breasts, and he paid for the rest of it because he had to come to town for that, and blah, 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 blah. So I went out and I got the boobs, and it was a very nice feeling to have people say, you have tits that look nice. And I'm talking strictly in the adult aspect of it, like sex and sexuality and things like that. I love when people say that, you look hot when you do this, or this looks very hot. It's just something that I've always had. I talked a little bit about it in my sexual abuse story, how you kind of look for that validation after you've been degraded so bad at one point that for the rest of your life, it's kind of like every time you're always looking if somebody's looking. Does that make sense? I'm the type of person who's severely insecure, and I enjoy that validation to make sure that I don't validate myself and my own feelings. Does that make sense? So after the boobs, I realized that from having kids, I'm going to show you a little bit of the lipo here in a minute, but from having kids, I think in 2016, if you look at my older videos, you can see that my face was a lot thinner. I had my teeth down here. A lot of bad things had happened from 2016 or 2015 until 2017, having the kids gone. Severe fucking depression. I was cheating on my husband. I was doing very, very bad things at the time. It was a very bad time in my life while I was changing. I was very alone. I was hanging out with all the wrong people. So, my methadone dose was high. A lot of things happened. So the point is, since I keep fucking talking, is like, here we are, and, with my boobs, and I'll show you, like, I was gaining a lot of weight. I think the skinniest I was in 2015 was 117. And then recently I was all the way up to 130. So tomorrow I'm getting the foam off. What I had done specifically was called tumescent liposculpture and tumescent liposuction. So I have this foam. I'm probably going to scratch I got to make sure I'm not going to scratch something. I'm not allowed to wash this area for 5 days, which I think is fucking disgusting, but they put enough of that, antibacterial on it. I dab it down every night anyway. It's not going to affect the stitches. But tumescent liposuction is basically when you're awake. You're not under general anesthesia or whatever. They don't put you to sleep. In my case, they gave me a twilight sleep, so it wasn't propofol. That's what general anesthesia is, I guess. They gave me something in my IV. They gave me a shot of Demerol, 2 shots of Demerol, and then a shot of something that put me in this daze or whatever. I don't remember much of it. It was not a painful experience at all. It's very... if you ask somebody who's had liposuction, liposculpture, they'll tell you that even being awake, they didn't feel it, it wasn't painful. It's just a very odd tickling. Have you ever seen somebody do lipo? They're literally stabbing the fuck out of you underneath your skin. But let me get to the point. I'll explain after that. So again, I had it on my hips down here. You can tell I no longer have hip dips. There's a lot of swelling, but I no longer have hip dips at all. And up here, I'm very swollen. I will peel down a little bit to show you. He took the fat out. There's a lot of bruising right here. This is all bruising. The yellow stuff is just, what do you call it, antiseptic or whatever. If you look at my old photos, my belly button's a lot smaller. He took the fat from all around here. He left a little bit of fat down here. You have to. Liposuction promises to remove at least 90%, 70% at the least of fat if you're a bigger person. In my case, you have to be 130 pounds in order to be eligible. And lucky me, I was 130.8 pounds. So I was just eligible. They removed 3.3 pounds off my waist, hips, and everything alone. They removed 1.5 liters, which equals 3.3 pounds. That's a lot. Like, that is a lot for your hips and things like that. Lipo is just removing the fat. Sculpture is where they actually take more fat in the areas to give you like maybe an hourglass figure, a more flat toned looking stomach. If you looked, if I flexed it, it kind of gives the illusion that I have like toning and all kinds of crazy shit. Anyway, it surprisingly was not that expensive. Again, I'm going to be paying it off for a couple years, but it's nothing that maybe somebody who, I don't know, could afford. Like, I think anybody could really afford it. It's just a matter of what do you want to put your credit into and what do you want to invest in. I went way off of fucking topic with that. So let's keep going here. So whenever My Cherry Crush inspired me and everything like that, you know, it was nice to have the validation. I really fucking love adult stuff. Again, if you watch my sexual abuse story, a lot of weird things came from all of it where I have so many odd fucking fetishes, and I feel like my husband and I are very different. I can get off to like the weirdest fucking shit in the world, and my husband's like, I don't fucking like that. I won't try that. I'm very into pegging. I desperately wish my husband would let me fuck him in the ass, but he just is not having it at this time. So let me use my fingers, but I got claws right now, so we're not doing anything, especially since I just had surgery. I have a lot of fetishes, some that I don't even talk about. I very much like torture. That's a whole different story, but not like, well, I don't know. I don't know. That's a whole different thing, but I love stuff like that, things that like get me off that I feel are so taboo and weird. I mean, torture's taboo, but that's not even right. But you get the point I'm trying to say. So I was like, I'm going to start doing not safe for work stuff. Audio only, because I am a little bit ashamed of my body. When I have an orgasm in real life, it's like it's fucking, it's dramatic. And to a lot of people, that would actually turn them on. To me, if I watched myself like in somebody else's body doing what I do when I come, I think it's hot because I think, wow, they're actually having an orgasm. I'm not just watching a porn where somebody is completely naked but has perfectly white tennis shoes and white socks on and is getting fucking some girl who has perfect tits body. It's like, I know, although I've gotten this plastic surgery, that I'll still have the shitty tattoos for now, like my messed up teeth, my retainer down here, I can't afford $6,000 and you know, for that. And it's like priorities. I went out and did lipo rather than fix my teeth, but I have my, does that make sense? Like, I will always be imperfect. And I kind of like that about myself because when I am having sex, and I film myself often with my husband having sex, which maybe someday I truly hope to share with you guys. You know, if I ever feel comfortable, there is actually a video of me online that nobody to this day has ever found. And I mean, nobody's going to find it. It is so tucked away somewhere. You can look at MySpace. Maybe the link would be hidden in there. And back then, I'm not ashamed of the video at all. I willingly did it. It was with my ex and his friend, who's also our friend. And, you know, someday, maybe when I'm comfortable, I would love to do it because I think the way that I see sex compared to porn is very, very different. For example, you know, girls, like I said, with a perfect body, they're just getting fucked. You could tell, you can fucking tell they're not enjoying it. And there is porn out there where they're enjoying it, but you could still see that they're trying. Does that make sense? I love the sex that is completely fucking involved with one another. Now, don't get me wrong. I love watching a woman's asshole gaping whenever some guy's fucking fist is up there and she's like legitimately in pain, but you know she can't stop because she signed a contract for like 3 years, so her asshole's gonna be ruined. But she'll be rich, so I mean, that was her choice. But that turns me on sometimes too. But ultimately, what gets me off is fucking, you know, in to one another, getting fucked and just passionate and slow. You guys know my biggest fetish, my biggest thing to make myself come is the slowest fucking, like, take 5 minutes to put a dick in a hole. Like, it's literally like that. So, I started the audio not safe for work, and you guys really seem to fucking enjoy it. Like, I got a lot of positive feedback, very, very good positive feedback, and it kept going and kept going. But then eventually, when I started feeling like you guys were gonna get, like, bored of that content, I started getting a couple, like, actually nasty comments on here, which I very much am grateful to this day. I blocked those people, but I know they've made accounts, so since then. But people would, like, blatantly come on here and be like, I want to see your tits, and, like, that's not bad. But they're like, your content's fucking shitty. Like, I want to pay, or I don't want to pay $1 to, have, like, a shitty cum or something like that. And I'm like, well, you don't have to pay the $1. I never started this Patreon to give content. I started it as a means of help, like asking for help and support, because the income I so thought that I would make for the rest of my life was falling apart at the time. You know what I mean? So when I started this and I started getting the positive feedback, I fucking loved it. I loved it so much. And then, as you can tell, the past month's content has just kind of slowly diminished a little bit. You guys were really, some of you were really wanting visuals. So I got on, I did the, deep throat and cock sucking and everything like that on the dildo. And, I would use, like, the props and everything like that. And you guys, I mean, I got a pretty good feedback with that. But it was after the breast massage and everything like that, the people were not so, they were just like, well, this is hot, but then, it's like, what else? You're not showing your pussy, you're not showing this, you're not showing that. And they still kept asking for more. And this was only a few certain people. Since then have been blocked. I realized that they were just very hateful people. They weren't truly looking out for me to make better content. They just wanted to see me like it. I don't even know what the fuck that was. And recently, you guys, I asked you if you wanted to see, like, an interview with somebody who had a fetish, and I think, some of you, and I'm not talking directly to somebody, there's only a couple people that will ever, out of 6,000, will ever comment, like, nasty things. I think you guys were expecting something else, because when I brought her on, Amanda, I believe her name was, yes, and you guys, like, made some very mean comments about her. You guys said, you talked about her looks, you talked about, and she's not subscribed to this Patreon, and I'm actually kind of happy she's not, because, like, that's very, degrading and stuff like that. That's the type of shit, the reason that I started doing Not Safe for Work on here was the point to say, like, there are different fetishes and there are different body types, and there are different this and different that. I didn't fucking want that kind of feedback. And it wasn't kind feedback. Like, it wasn't constructive criticism, like, hey, maybe you can turn the volume down. It was straight, she's fucking disgusting, you fucking look. There was one that said, like, I looked bad. Then there was one that said, maybe I should start taking care of myself a little more because I keep wearing my hair up in buns. And it was bad, you guys. And that's when last week I kind of, like, gave up. I was like, really? Like, really, though? Like, come on, guys. Like, this shit's not fair. Hold on one second. I'm gonna grab my phone. I just filmed this video for today, which I'm going to post after I eventually post this one. It's a sex phone call audio. I was really proud of it. I thought, I did it really serious and actually came in it. I never come. I finger fuck myself. It was really cool. I think that I finally got myself back into the want to film, because after that video last week, I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, all of my dreams and everything like this, like, I feel like I'm losing it. Like, I'm not burning out because I only put out 4 videos a month. But apparently these videos aren't good enough to some people, and I want to be good enough. I want to strive for that good validation I was getting. Do you know what I mean? Not only for you guys, but for myself. It makes me feel good when I put out content that you truly fucking enjoy. And that makes me happy. That makes me feel good about myself. That, yeah. So that was, like, my problem this week. So I was like, I'm going to redo this whole Patreon. I'm going to start talking about in the description what I truly want out of this, content-wise, income-wise, people-wise. Patreon just came out with a whole new fucking layout, like where you can reply to comments with videos. I think that's fucking cool, like Instagram in a way, or Snapchat, and I'm going to start using that very much. I want to talk about how I'm not always dressed up. My real life, I'm always in sweats. I'm never wearing makeup. Like, I might look, like right now I feel like I look disgusting because this tank top I feel like doesn't match like my face, or like I did my one eyebrow too light. Like today, it's the first time I've worn makeup in probably a week and a half. You know what I mean? Like I feel very not there right now, and I'm just taking a break. I took a week off of YouTube. I feel like my content over there is not as good as it could be. I mean, that's going to change. It's just, there's a lot of things going on, you know what I mean? And I just want to make sure, because it's not only all for the income. Like, again, I started YouTube because I wanted to, because I very much liked ASMR, and I loved the fact that somebody else felt that feeling. I love the fact that I can include ASMR in sexual situations. I can't tell you how many countless tingles I've had when somebody was like, you know, using their nails on my back while I'm getting fucked. Like, it's a great feeling to come while getting tingles on your spine and in your head. It's a great fucking feeling. And I was always hoping to induce that through Patreon. So that's pretty much the story of what's been going on. The negative feedback has pretty much thrown me off a little bit. You know, things like that. And that's fine. There's a difference between constructive criticism and straight up hate. And I can't, when it comes to Patreon, I've never really had straight up hate. It was always a matter of, you know, just constructive criticism, and I worked hard and that criticism went away and it was more positive. Recently, it's just been hate, and I've just been like, what the fuck, where's this coming from? And I know I've lost probably 100 Patreons in the past month, I think, just from that interview alone, man. Like, I don't know what was so bad about it. But that's all right. You know, you got to keep moving on and keep doing better content. And I truly hope I can make better content for you guys. So the point of this video was to give a little bit of information about what's been going on and why I stopped filming for a week. Not only because of my surgery, but just how I've been feeling. The future of Patreon, what I want to do is, since I've had my lipo and I'm going to be a little bit more comfortable in my body, I would love to do more visual, but I'm still focused on the audio. I have some great fucking ideas, I think so, that I think would definitely help you come maybe and get the tingles at the same time. Interactive and imaginative, auditory, you know, sensory meridian response. I didn't say autonomous there, but when you're definitely focusing your all on it, and you're not just listening to go to sleep, and you want to interact and you want to masturbate and you want to this and that. Audio, in my opinion, for me, is perfect to try to help you feel that way. I really dug the phone call today. You guys are going to have to let me know. Please just be constructive with your comments. Like, I understand you're paying just, you know, $1 a month, and you feel like, that's what I felt that these people who said that, I felt that they were entitled because they did pay $1, and it doesn't matter if it's a penny or $1,000, it's money. And they put their money into that, and they expected content they didn't get. And instead of being constructive about it and saying, I'm going to unsubscribe, they just fully went on me, and I just didn't appreciate that. Just try to give me some constructive criticism if you don't like it. I want to make better content for you guys. I want to do better. I want to make this Patreon everything I've ever dreamed of. Like I said at first, it was a fucking income project. That's all it was. I needed some help with income, and I asked from my family supporters if I could have some support from them, and they definitely helped me out, and you guys have helped me out more. I just don't appreciate the comments when they say that I took certain money. And although it's nobody's business how I spend my money, I personally think that that is fucked up. That's why I respond to that. For example, oh, you took that money that you make a month and went out and bought lipo. It's like, in my opinion, I would never do that. Now, I did use some of that money to put down on the liposuction and apply for care credit, and make those $150 payments a month, which, yeah, I guess maybe Patreon would support in a way. But as long as my kids are taken care of and they don't want for anything, and my husband's fed and he's taking care of the kids and we're all fucking comfortable, and I'm still creating content for everybody that everybody seems to enjoy, and we can do this smoothly, then yes, you know what I mean? Like, but if I'm just straight up taking fucking money from my family and everything like that I'm making from money that you guys are giving me from content that is shitty, then that's really fucked up. I don't do that. I would never do that, and I would never put my kids in a situation that I would have put them in 2015. I'm not that person anymore, everyone, so with that being said, the future of this Patreon, I'm going to stick to the 4 videos a month. I thought about doing some tiers. Eventually, when I heal up, I'd like to do some nudes. I'd like to do some feet stuff. You guys said that, a lot of you don't like feet, a lot of you do. I know a lot of you really like feet, like photos of them. I have some really good photos. My husband's willing. I have a girlfriend, not a girlfriend, but she's a good friend of mine who's willing to fuck. And we've been really talking and getting heated and everything like that, And I'd love to bring some of that heat on camera, like some passionate kissing, some touching, gentle feeling, just general ASMR that will make you relax and come and then make me come. Maybe not relax, but you know what I mean. So thank you guys so much for supporting me. I do want to get that out there. I want to let you guys know that you guys have supported my life, and I know this won't last forever, but while it does, I'd like to make it the best that I can. I don't know any YouTuber besides like Shane Dawson and PewDiePie that's been, and Jenna Marbles and stuff, and Trisha Paytas, I could keep naming them, but they've been on YouTube a very long time, but in my opinion, I don't think those people are going to last forever. I just don't. YouTube is a personal... What the fuck? YouTube is a very... it's like self-employment, it's income, but it's like eventually if you don't keep putting out good content, they're going to find somebody else. And I don't want that right now. Maybe someday when I'm secure, I can calm down a little bit and be like, hey, I have a good life and I want to live it quietly, because that's my goal in the future. I want to go and I want to move near the beach somewhere far enough that I don't have to have beach insurance or whatever where the water fucking floods my house. But I want to be, far out into the country with my kids, my husband, maybe not my husband, he can fuck off sometimes, and I just want to live a quiet life. I want to be comfortable. I want to take care of my body. I have my YouTube family and I have this, but I want you guys as my family, and I don't want to have to worry about, income and everything like that. But that is a part of this. I made my life a part of this. I set Patreon and I started making income, and now that's part of my income. Those are part of my car payments, my gas payments, my food, my everything else, and now my lipo payments. When that goes away, I'm going to have to find another form of income. But I like what I'm doing right now. I like Patreon. I like YouTube. I like everything I'm doing, and I don't want to give that up yet. So thank you, is what I'm saying. Thank you so much for supporting my life. Thank you for giving me a voice. I would never be here right now. I would never have the life that I have, and I would still be, in 2015, picking up cigarette butts off the ground at 5:30 a.m. After sitting in Eaton Park for 2 hours waiting for the clinic to open to get my dose at the methadone clinic. So, yes. Thank you for giving me the life that I've always wanted but never thought I could have. And thank you for supporting me. And I hope that I can truly give you the content that you deserve. The content that, I feel is very fucking important to me, that I love doing right now. This is my passion, and I don't ever want to give that up. And I hope you'll still continue to support my journey. And I hope you made it this far in the video. And if you did, thank you so very fucking much. I hope this explained a little bit about Patreon, my past, about income, about everything, about what I want to do. And I love you guys with all of my person. And I feel like now I'm starting to sound like a radio. So, like, the radio reporters are like, so Bob, what'd you do this weekend? Like, very high tones and low tones. Like, what the fuck? But all right, I'm going to get going. I'm going to go smoke a cigarette and I'm going to head home. So I love you guys again with all of my person. I'll talk to you next week, or in one of the respond comments, you'll see a lot of changes very soon. Bye.